Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Tyler. This is my tabletop. Today we are continuing with our scratch builds for A Billion Suns, the game written by Mike Hutchinson for Osprey Wargames. We are building a space junk token, which is it can be a max of 3 inches across, so I've cut out a 3-inch diameter circle. And we are building a flight of 5 gunships, which they're the smallest of the non-fighters, I guess. Uh, about the same size as a light utility ship. Um, so I have wall anchors, which are the longer pieces that you see in the middle of your screen. Those crosses are some tile spacers I had lying around. And you can see I have quite a lot of resistors. I have them left over from Gaslands, where you can use them pretty well as like grenades on poles. I don't know what they're called in Mad Max. And then I've just got normal plastic card. So what I'm doing is, well, what we're going to end up with is it looks a lot like a Soyuz spacecraft with a plus sign on the front of it, I guess. Um, and then for the space junk, I'm going to cut the resistors. I'm going to cut one end off, one end of the wire off, and then cut the remaining wire to different heights, and I'm going to use them as a minefield. Super simple, should be relatively easy to do. So I'm going to speed this up a bit more, and I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, to start off, there's a little bar, or, well, actually, so I'm doing 2 steps here at once. There's a kind of a bar or I don't know, a piece of plastic in the middle of the wall anchor that prevents the two halves from spreading out, but it sits right where I want to put these little wing things. They end up being solar panels, but for now, when I was making them, I didn't know what I wanted to make. And I also want to cut the nose off so that it's flat, so I can put these little crosses on. So I cut the noses off of, so I cut I guess, the tab on the inside off first, and then I cut the end off of each one. And now what I'm doing is I'm cutting I'm cutting 2 resistors for each one. I'm cutting the wires off of both of them. And I'm going to put those in the cross, the front cross, as, I don't know, weapon mounts of some kind. So I've got to do 10 of those, which goes pretty quick. I was originally going to leave some of the wire on, but I decided that the wire is too sharp for that. And just not something I want to deal with. So for assembly, I'm also doing 2 steps. I'm putting the solar panel on, and I'm putting the cross on. And I started off by laying them nose down, so the cross is going into my desk. But the crosses aren't super precisely manufactured, and so some of them don't want to stay. Yeah, they fall over. So I stood them on their tails instead. Okay, so now we're gonna let those dry for a little bit, and what I'm gonna do is uh, work on the minefield, which, like I said, it counts as space junk in this system, but it's dangerous space, so same thing, really. Uh, and so what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting one wire off of each resistor so that there's only one wire, and then what I'm going to do is uh, cut part of the other wire off, and I'm going to glue them onto the base so that they are uh, at different heights off the base. You can see I stopped because I'm waiting on my hot glue gun to warm up. I switched over to gluing the resistors onto the gunships. Now I'm putting them, so I've got the cross, instead of it, I've got it as an X, so it doesn't line up with the wings. It's hard to tell from here, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And so what I've done is I'm putting the resistors in the vertical grooves, so they're not in line with the wings. Now, my general quasi-sciency technobabble BS reasoning for this is that usually you don't want anything that puts off energy too close to your solar panels. At the time, I thought they might wind up being radiators, and you don't want energy output anywhere near those either. So either way, I put them vertically to try and keep the parts from, so that it made logical sense to me. And you saw that one of the noses fell off, so I'm breaking away to clip the different heights for the minefield while I wait for it to dry for a second before I finish it. And now it is very much just I'm pretty much moving as quick as the glue will dry on this part. I wind up with 14 resistors on this 3-inch base, which you pretty much have to. Um, I wound up having to go back and super glue them because they were getting kind of flimsy. I also spent some time before I primed it clearing off the threads of hot glue because they were all over the place. And it doesn't look great, at least to me. And the last one, of course, fell over right in the middle of everything. Okay. Now I'm just going to circle back and glue the last two resistors onto the 5th gunship. So now between this step and the painting step, obviously I primed them, and I attached the gunships to bases. So I'm using kind of a hodgepodge blend. It's Army Painter War Paints. It's Darkstone, Gunmetal, and Matte Black. I was going for like a dark metallic. Um, and I'm hitting everything on the gunships except the wing panels, which, like I said, they wind up being solar panels, which does give it a very Soyuz look. I'm also going to hit the mines with the exact same color. Then after this dries, I'm going to hit the whole thing with a slightly lighter coat of metallic. So after this first coat, I pretty much sat down for the second coat and just tackled the entire the entire rest of the painting all in one go because my paint was drying pretty quick. Now you can see me painting the mines, and you can see that I'm having to hold some of them because the hot glue didn't stick super well. After I finished painting everything and all that, I actually went and added some super glue to smooth it out. So for this coat, I'm doing a really rough full coat of gunmetal. I'm being super okay with missing parts, like, but I'm not doing a full-on dry brush or anything like that. But you can see that I do the whole thing very quickly. Yes, you're watching this at 4 times time acceleration, but I did hit it pretty quick anyway. And brief pause while I consider not doing anything. And so what I'm doing now is I'm adding the first coat to the solar panels. This is royal blue mixed with a little bit of gray to tone it down. So if you add black to paint, it doesn't give as good an effect as if you use a gray. So that's what I did, is I added some dark stone to it for this first coat. And this went real quick. I think after this, I should really write scripts so that I can know what's coming up without guessing. Sitting here watching myself paint and having to guess. That's what I did. So there are these sharp pointy bits on the back towards what I'm using as the engine, and I gave them a coat of black to make them look like radiators, just because. Give a little more depth. Okay, and now yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm coloring in the front of the X on each of the gunships with royal blue. It's kind of become my accent color of choice for this fleet. It's purely just because I like blue, and I wanted to add a little bit more color, like in terms of, I guess, fleet identification color. So, paint the front of the X blue. The mines are also going to get a dot of red on the top of each one, kind of like a light, I guess. You'll never be able to see it, but so here I'm adding a second coat to the solar panels. This is slightly closer to the true royal blue. It's still a little darker. But you can see I'm pretty much working as fast as the paint dries at this point. And to be honest, I was actually working a little bit faster than that. There were some spots the paint was still wet. And me going off to get red? Yes. And then I figured out that my bottle of red was just not, yeah. That red was dead. So I went and got cheap red. My apple barrel red, because it's literally the only red I have in the house right now. And I'm just putting a dot, the smallest dot, on the top of each mine, I guess to show that they're armed. Even if you knew they were armed, you still wouldn't want to get within range of this thing, so it works. Hey, it's wash time. Null oil for the metallic parts, basically everything except the solar panels. I don't think I put any null oil on the mines. I got they were flexing quite a bit off of the bases, and so I wanted to stop messing with them. And then the last thing I did is I pulled out my glaze, my Gulliman Blue glaze, to cover the solar panels, because I don't get many opportunities to use that glaze, so why not? And that just covers both sides, and then leave the whole things to dry. So, as soon as this clip is done, it's going to switch over to a turntable shot, and I'll give you my final thoughts. But overall, I'm really having fun. I played Billion Suns last weekend. I'm playing it this weekend. I really like kit bashing and coming up with 3D models and stuff like that. This is a lot of fun for me. If kit bashing and making your bits box work for you is something you like, I think you'd really enjoy it. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, of course. I'm Tyler, this has been my tabletop, and I will talk to you guys again soon.